let's move on and let's talk about Hugo Lloris, because apparently, according to Alistair Gold, a new Hugo Lloris deal could be on the cards very soon. Obviously, his deal does run out at the end of this season, and Ali Gold states that if this form of his does carry on for the next couple of weeks, then it looks as though he will be offered a new short-term deal, which could be an extra year with another year add-on if he may wish to sign that. So what would you think about a new deal, and do you think it will happen?
Well, he's 34 years of age, so as keepers go, that's not the it's not like, I know he's old for a football player, but as a keeper that's not like massively old. It's like he is getting to the end, but it's not like he still could easily have 2 or 3 good years left in him before he starts winding down properly. So look, for me, especially since the start of last season, but definitely since he came back from that long injury where he had the Brighton game where he dislocated his elbow.
100%.
I think he's been definitely, for me, like top 3 keepers, maybe top 4 keepers in the league. I think he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I think he was, to be fair, going through a bit of a sticky patch before then. Despite he was going through a bit of a sticky patch, but he's still making like some really good saves. But he was kind of making a few mistakes on a more they started getting a bit more regular, those mistakes during that period. I think he's really cut them out now, those mistakes. They're now a bit few and far between. And I think those charts...
A couple this season, but they're not as often
this season,
as they were.
Yeah, last season. Like, he does... Like, yeah, there's still a few of those dodgy moments, but I think the amount of saves he makes that he shouldn't be making is ridiculous. And I think it's proven by those stats we've seen over the past a week or so, which states that... when it comes to Lloris, his expected shot saves is like so much higher than any other keeper, pretty much, or any other keepers in Europe. Only Jan Oblak, I think, is better than him. It shows how ridiculous his reflexes and his shot stopping is really incredible. And I think, for me, Lloris, personally, I think he's already proven that he should get a new contract. I don't think it has to be kept consistently. I think I would give him a new contract already.
I would have offered him a new contract at the end of last season, to be fair.
I think he was brilliant last season. I really do. I think he had a bit of a sticky patch in January where he had a few iffy moments. But other than that, I think he was brilliant. And I think he's definitely earned another year. I would have already offered him a contract. Because I think right now, Lloris is probably, first of all, I think he's underrated, not in the Spurs fan base, but also within the Premier League, how opposition fans see him. I think he's very underrated. I don't think people give him the credit he deserves. And I think he's one of those keepers who we're gonna not realise what we had until he leaves. I think with a lot of Spurs fans.
I keep saying that so consistently about Hugo Lloris. I think that he's so underrated by everyone, by literally everyone. He's so disrespected. And like his mistakes get polarized more than anyone else for some reason. I mean, last season, who would you put as the other two keepers in his company, right? Alisson and Ederson, right?
Yeah, and maybe Emi Martinez had a great season as well.
And Martinez, right? But they all make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them made mistakes last season.
Big mistakes as well.
Emi Martinez, he got goalkeeper of the year last year, and I remember countless amount of times he's made mistakes last season. Yes, he's had a great season. I'm not denying that, but he made mistakes last season. Alisson went through a string of games where he was making absolutely horrendous mistakes. Ederson, he makes mistakes from time to time. The way he rushes out and all that kind of stuff. Every keeper makes mistakes. Hugo Lloris, for some reason, his mistakes get really polarised and everyone likes to clown on him and everyone likes to talk about it so much. But when other keepers make mistakes, they just don't really dwell on it for too long.
Yeah, I completely agree. And maybe it's because when Lloris makes a mistake, it's usually like something that's avoidable or something, and people...
The same with Ederson.
Yeah, I know, but it's, no, I agree. And I think maybe because of his age, people think, is this evidence of him getting to the end and all that kind of stuff. But, his position in France as captain of France, and France has pretty much never been under threat throughout this whole time. They never seem to have any doubts about him. He's also captain of he's Spurs captain as well. Like, everyone seems to within the game realise how good he is and what a special goalkeeper he is. But it just seems for some reason, when fans look at him, maybe it's because he's not the biggest goalkeeper. When you look at Alisson or Ederson or even like a Courtois, something like that, they're like big, like he's tall, Lloris, but he's a bit of a slighter frame, and he's not as dominant in his area coming for crosses and stuff like that. But what he doesn't have in those aspects, he more than makes up for in his other aspects, like with his shot stopping. I think he's arguably the best shot stopper, or has the best reflexes in the league. I think there's a big argument to say he's got the best reflexes in the league. I think his shot stopping is incredible. I think, to be honest, actually, in a weird way, he was much praised for how he used to be under Pochettino and he used to come out and stuff. But I actually think ever since Mourinho's come in and he stays on his line a lot more, I actually think it's helped him out a lot. Because I did think it started to catch. I don't think he's as comfortable on the ball as the likes of Ederson and Alisson are. He's not as good. And actually, to be fair, his distribution's improved, but that's more when he has the ball.
It's literally this season.
But that's more when he gets to like volley it, not more than when the ball's at his feet. But I think he's a lot more comfortable staying on his line. He's a lot more comfortable relying on his reflexes and his shot stopping than he is relying on his ability to rush out and clear the ball and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely an element to his game that's got a lot better. And I think as well, his leadership skills, what he brings to the defence, the back line, his experience, I think he's a top quality keeper. And I think we're lucky to have him at the moment. And I think people should realise how good of a keeper he is before being so ready to like see Galini come in as number one and get out. Because I don't think Galini is close to Lloris at the moment in terms of quality. I really don't.
Can't be. And
I don't think he is.
The guy gets disrespected so much. Not by, I mean, like, first of all, do you remember before the Amazon documentary, everyone was saying like, oh, Hugo shouldn't be our captain, give it to Kane, give it to this one, give it to that one, give it to Toby. I mean, basically for the last 5 years, people have been saying strip Lloris of the captaincy and give it to someone else, Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Harry Kane. And then everyone saw that Amazon documentary and seeing what he's actually like in the dressing room, and then people were like, all right, fine, he's a good captain. He's a good captain.
Gives a lot better team talks than Kane, that's for sure.
That's for sure. And you don't really see that on the pitch. Maybe because he's a goalkeeper and you don't focus on him too much. But when you saw him in the dressing room, you're like, all right, this guy has really got some good leadership qualities about him. You don't become the captain of France as well, World Cup winning side, just for being a good keeper. You know, you've got to have some strong leadership qualities about you. So I think there's definitely misconceptions about Hugo Lloris coming from everyone. And it's time that people start respecting him more. It's time that we do give him that new contract. And I think that the longer we keep him, the better for Spurs, really. Even if we can keep him as a backup keeper after like his best years, I think would be good for the dressing room still.
After all this, he's probably going to make a massive howler this season.
Probably
tomorrow, isn't he? Knowing that. But what do you think if we do keep him on and say we offer him a 2-year deal? Do you think Galini rethinks his position? Do you think maybe he thinks either do Spurs not take up the option to sign him, and do we send him back to Atalanta, or does Galini think I don't want to join Tottenham if Lloris is going to be number one? I thought I was going to be number one next season.
Yeah, it's difficult.
How do you think? I think it definitely changes his situation.
Yeah, it does. It's difficult because I think that he's going to be coming. Golini came this year assuming that he would be number one next year. But if he looks at it and being like, all right, fine, it's one more year as backup, maybe he'll do it. But if he signs that 2-year deal, maybe I think it could be goodbye to Golini.
You think so? You think we won't sign up the option?
It could be. I mean, I don't know. I think ideally, of course, I would love to sign him. But as well, Golini, after being number one for Atalanta for a couple of years, playing in the Champions League, he's come to Tottenham, yes, a bigger club, and he's like, all right, cool, I've got a vision here to be number one at this great club. But if this vision is delayed a bit, you know, he's already 26, he's going to be 27, 28.
Yeah, but for a keeper, that's young.
I know, though, but like to take 2 or 3 years out from regular football is a big deal for a footballer.
Yeah, especially as you say, he was, you know, at the top near the top of Serie A week in, week out.
Yeah.
Last year, so I think it was probably, as you say, it was probably a good opportunity to him for fight for the number one spot. But I think at the moment, if we give Lloris a new contract, it's gonna need a rethink. It's gonna need a difficult conversation. What would you say? Maybe what about signing him and then sending him out on loan potentially, or for to a different club? Do you think that's a good option, or do you think maybe just send him back and sign someone else who's more willing to sit on the bench?
I would take him as I think that would be a good shout, to be honest. I think sign him up, give him the choice whether he wants to go out on loan or fight for his spot. And I think it's a win-win, to be honest, because if he comes back from loan, we're going to get a better keeper with better experience. And if he stays and fight for his spot, that shows a bit of his mentality as well, in my opinion. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see how the Lloris situation affects Golini. because I think in the short time we've seen him, he's had some impressive performances. I don't want to say like I don't think he's a good keeper. I do, but I just think Lloris is so underrated. I think he's like levels like with his goalkeeping above a lot of people.
You've got to forget. Don't forget that when Gazaniga had that run in the team, everyone was like, "Oh, Gazaniga's better than Lloris. Bring Gazaniga in the team." We released Gazaniga, and now he's playing for Fulham in the Championship. You know what I mean? Like, people need to stop disrespecting Hugo Lloris. They really do.
Completely agree. I'd love to know people's opinions when they call in and stuff, what they think about Hugo, because I think he's so underrated. But yeah, that's all.
All right.